Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you made an origami? Well, most of us think of origami as a passing time activity that only amounts to creating beautiful art pieces, of course, depending on how careful we are and the paper we use. However, origami is much more than just art. Have you considered origami as a means to achieve breakthroughs in engineering using projects that solve problems from space exploration and the human body? In this video and others to come, we talk with Otto Wilson, a professor at the Department of Biomedical Engineering at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. He not only talks about origami and its many applications and benefits, but also how origami has become part of the curriculum for biomedical engineering. He tells us how everybody can benefit from practicing this art more and utilize it to come up with their own breakthroughs.
So, hi, my name is Otto Wilson. I'm a professor of biomedical engineering at Catholic University. I've been here for about 22 years, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time working with some very bright students and wonderful faculty and support staff who help us to grow and learn all about the wonderful things about God's creation. So I like to say that God is the greatest origami master in the universe because so many processes in nature utilize folding to help bring about the good outcomes. So I like to say one piece of paper, unlimited possibilities. That's traditional origami. And also there's variations of origami, which you use a single piece of paper to make a basic unit, and then you fit them together to form a larger structure. So this is an example of, it's called modular origami. So this is a model for it actually could be used as a model for carbon 60, a buckyball, because there's exactly 60 points. And it's also soccer ball structures. So there's pentagons and hexagons built from this. So this is called a FIZ unit. FIZ stands for pentagon, hexagon, zigzag unit. And this can easily put together, actually this is made from Post-it notes, easy to fold the units and then you fit them together. So it's a neat mental puzzle. It's an example of modular origami. Now, if we look at our bodies, we have many systems in our body which are folded. So the most fundamental is DNA. DNA is folded. And there's actually a lot of unique research which has been done over the last more or less 50 or so years to utilize origami principles to understand DNA structures and also the functionality of DNA. DNA folds, proteins fold, which is probably even bigger. Nobel Prizes that were awarded last year had to do with protein folding. And one gentleman in particular utilizes origami principles to understand how proteins fold. And that was really, really fascinating to see that. I said, hey, I know that. We talked about that. And we're starting at some of the smallest structures in terms of DNA and proteins. But if you go up in levels, there's cells. At the cell level, we have chaperones, which are special proteins in cells, which actually check proteins to make sure that they're folded properly. And if a protein is misfolded, it'll actually help it to refold. Wow. And then if it doesn't refold, then it'll tag it to be recycled. So we do subcellular origami within cells.
In this video, Professor Otto Wilson talks about using origami to aid with bone growth and also how it can be used to understand basic concepts in medicine.
So tissues and organs fold. One of the most fascinating aspects of our biology is our brain. It's the seat of our thinking, consciousness, and it's, believe it or not, it's one of the easiest origami models to make. You literally take a piece of paper, crumple it up into a ball, and that's an accurate representation of our brain. That is origami. Yes, probably the easiest type of origami you can do. We've all probably done that at some point, but you're making a model of the brain when you do that. One of my passions is to come up with a way to fold a heart, seed it with cardiac cells and have it transform into a fully functioning heart. So that's one of our dream projects that we're working on. A lot of the work we've done up to date is we're seeing if we can use origami principles to help with bone tissue engineering. So we've actually taken tissue paper, literally tissues, chem wipes, and grown cells on them and studied how they deposit bone. And the idea for using origami and bone, you can literally make a tube, roll a tube, and on the outside you can grow bone, and within the tube you can grow bone marrow tissue. And that will be a fairly straightforward model to study bone work. Of course, the heart will be a lot more complex. Now, what I'm really excited about, and our class is participating in this. Last year we had one of our students, Maria, who took the class. She was a wonderful student in class, and currently she's doing medical school. And she contacted me in November, and she was excited. She says, I'm taking this anatomy physiology class, and some of the concepts are very difficult to visualize. So I thought origami. And so she literally developed an origami model to help understand how the baby forms in the mom's womb. And she was so excited how she learned so much. She was able to share it with some of her students, and they were excited too. So in terms of the heart, if you dig deep in terms of how the heart forms, literally starts off as a sheet of cells, flat sheet of cells, and that rolls into a tube, and then it deforms and shapes to make the heart. So there's literally origami principles built into our bodies. And that's why another reason why I say God is the greatest origami artist.
Espero que te haya gustado este video y para aprender más sobre el tema, checa todos los videos que publicaremos sobre el tema. En nuestra página de web también encontrarás otro material que puede ser útil para entender este concepto y cómo se aplica a diferentes áreas de la ingeniería. Si tienes alguna recomendación o solicitud, por favor proporciona retroalimentación constructiva y respetuosa en los comentarios o en nuestro sitio de web www.bridges-strong.org. Recuerda que queremos asegurarnos de que estos videos sean útiles y atraigan a mentes perspicaces y creativas de cualquier edad.